And this was doubly true for Georgine, because, again, Veronica was like this cruel lady that pushed Georgine to new limits, but Georgine accepted it, like, as a form of love of sorts, some twisted love. And while Georgine wasn't discarded, her sister was, as this, because, you know, Georgine went from being the primary to the spare, in a way. Now, Georgine didn't despise Sylvester from the start. No, well, not fully anyways. Rather than raising Sylvester strictly and sparsely paying attention to Sylvester, Veronica took a very opposite approach to raising Sylvester than she did with Georgine. See, with Sylvester, she spoiled Sylvester. She took Georgine's head attendant, Raharda, and gave them to Sylvester. She gave basically everything to Sylvester. She showered Sylvester in love because she wanted a son that badly. Rather than forcing Sylvester to study for long hours and brutally punishing him, Veronica would spoil the boy a bit. He would run around being mischievous, and Georgine would see this and she would scold him, as it was the only thing she knew to do. She would scold him and tutor him in her own form of affection, in a way, because to her, again, that was affection. That was love to her. The most affection she got was from her Uncle Beelzebub, but like, or whatever his name was, the corrupt guy. He's irrelevant at this point. But anyways, so whenever she'd get to see him, she'd dedicate her efforts to tutoring him. I saw it as almost a form of love, but also bitterness, because the second Sylvester was born, he was basically made to be the next Ob. Everything was given to him. Yet rather than attempting to murder Sylvester right off the start, she attempted to tutor him. As she was raised to be the next Ob, she tried to tutor him in the same way. But Sylvester, he saw this as cruel and unreasonable. And he saw it as like a form of punishment of sorts. And he would cry out that he didn't want to be Ob Ehrenfest to start with, which would only enrage Georgine, because for Georgine, being Ob Ehrenfest wasn't simply being Ob Ehrenfest. It was to finally win her mother and father's affections, especially her mother's affections. And eventually becoming Ob Ehrenfest became her obsession, but yeah. Anyways, Sylvester, right? He didn't understand that. To Sylvester, he was being pushed through a brutal competition. Meanwhile, Georgine, from her perspective, she had no chance the second Sylvester was born, yet still tried to help him, which he refused to help because, in his eyes, he was being brutally punished again. And then eventually, they grow up, Sylvester becomes Ob Ehrenfest. Oh, did I mention that Sylvester, insisted on marrying Florencia, which also, upset Georgine, because, Sylvester gets whatever he wants, Georgine gets nothing. Well, at least in her eyes. And, you know what? Her mom was pretty cruel, so, okay. And this, not to excuse any of Georgine's behavior, and this upbringing of theirs affects how they raise their children. Let's start with Deltine. See, even though Georgine understood that she herself desired her mother's affections more than anything, and becoming Ob Ehrenfest was a means to an end, eventually she probably realized that she was never going to get her mom's affection, but maybe she could become Ob Ehrenfest. Or not, she got married off. And so she kind of just lived a kind of bitter life for a bit, and then she realized, hey, I want Ehrenfest, right? So she worked and worked and worked towards Ehrenfest, all the while neglecting Deltine, because she kind of, I suppose, in a twisted way, took inspiration from her mother. She raised her first two children well, but I suppose she didn't see